Hi, Heather.
Hello, how are you?
Good. Welcome to the Genesis Camp.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here, and this is a pretty cool time because we have the UK waking up, we have some crazy late nighters in the States, and then we have the Aussies just like us that are sitting here on our Sunday evening. So it's good. It's nice to be here.
Yeah, it's great. So let's go. And you can tell us all about getting your name out there to be the first choice in a busy marketplace.
Good. Sounds like a plan. Should I take it away?
Over to you.
All right, guys. First of all, hello. Thank you for joining me. I am Heather Porter, and I've been baking myself next to a heater while I've been prepping my slides. So I'm not actually sunburned. I'm just baked from the hot heater that's down here. All right, so guys, before I get stuck into it, I just want to say hi. I am based in Sydney. Yes, I have an American accent. I'm originally from California, and I've been over here in Australia for 11 years, and it's freezing cold, so I envy all of you that are nice and warm over in the States right now. Hello from Spain and the Kiwis in the house. Woohoo! Guys, I love it. Please, I have your comments here on the screen. I'm going to be engaging with you every step of the way. If you have questions, please ask them. I may not get to them right up until the end, but I don't want you to go unanswered, so please pop them in there. All right, yeah, all-nighter owl. Nice! Woohoo! You're like me. I'm a night girl as well. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen with you and get stuck into the slides, and I'll pop my little head up at the end. So I'm going to do that right now. So 1 second. I've been hanging out, watching the live discussions all day as well, and they're really good. There's been some amazing content in there. All right, so here we go. Now, if all's going well, you should hopefully be seeing my screen. Is it up for you? Not any colder than Melbourne. Yeah, I know. Huh, it's shocking over there. Good to go, guys. Can you just give me a little yes? I can see your screen in the little chat just so I can make sure that you can see my slides. You should see a slide that's on there that says be the first choice. Do you see that up on your screen? Oh, yeah, and we're on delay from memory as well. All good? Can you see it, Trish? Good. I think you're on mute, Trisha. Can you see it? You're on mute. Yes, thank you. Okay, good, perfect. Just wanted to make sure before we get started. So guys, here's what I'm going to talk about with you on this fine morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Be the first choice in a busy marketplace. Earlier, we were hearing that, unfortunately, where we work right now in the online space is becoming a commodity. And we know that to be true because every single business owner or any person that has a website has a contact form. And those contact forms are being bombarded with spammy, crappy comments like, hey, I can get your website on page 1, or hey, can I just help you with conversion on your website design? I can really improve that for you. So unfortunately, when things like this start to happen, we now have to step up our game and play at a bigger level so people actually remember you as a brand and not a commodity. Because guys, you're not commodities. You have stories to tell, you have expertise, and you have an amazing talent that the world needs. So I'm just going to tell you a quick little story so you know how I actually got to Sydney from America in the first place. It all started one fine day in Egypt. There I am. That's the original Twitter bird. Did you guys know that? Anyway, so I'm in Egypt. I'm with my now business partner, Andrew McCauley. My previous life, I way back in the day ran events in San Diego, and I started up my own little production company where I represented lowbrow artists, sort of underground artists, and you know, fashion designers and DJs. And I taught myself web design because I needed to get our artists' portfolios up online while I was going to university at the time. And I worked in Dreamweaver. Oh yes, the good old days of Dreamweaver. So while I was doing that, I was learning how to do my own events, and then I came across a little guy named Tony Robbins, and I started working for him. And then I was eventually pulled from his IT department, which is where I started, into events. And from '99 up until about 5 years ago, 5-6 years ago, I've worked with some of the biggest speakers in the world, including Tony Robbins. And it was amazing. I truly lived a rock star life. I learned how to build massive systems to support seminars of 5,000. And towards the end of my seminar and event management career, one of the speakers approached me and said to me, look, I want to translate my big brand online. I want to have a community. Can you do that for me? So I stepped back into the role of web designer, and I thought, yeah, sure, why not? This time, though, I worked in Joomla, and I worked in Sugar CRM, and I pulled bits and pieces together to make an online membership site back in, gosh, that would have been 2009. And we had 18,000 members at launch, and it was pretty cool. And right around that time, I was traveling in Egypt, running an event, and my business partner, Andrew McCauley, was there with me, and he said to me, I think that we should start a business because we were both getting burnt out of working in events. And he's Aussie. I introduced him to his American wife, and he lives in Palm Springs. So we all swapped places, and now we have a agency together since the end of 2009. We started in websites, and then we, here, I'll tell you actually where we started. We started with websites. So back in end of 2009, what I realized when I built that community for that speaker is that lots of people were coming to me saying, can you do the same for me? And I basically said, yeah, okay, so there's obviously a need for websites. And Andrew at the time was right into social media, and he's like, well, why don't we get together? We can kind of do websites, we can work on social media marketing, and that's how it really all started, as most great business relationships do. It's kind of almost by accident sometimes, and that's how it started for us. And back then, we were new at web, and we did some cowboy code. We outsourced. We didn't do a very good job. We broke a lot of websites. The ones that we built, we had to go back and fix. And from there, we then evolved into Theme Forest, which all of you probably are annoyed at and have gotten the nice on occasion client that says, oh yeah, can you just take that Theme Forest theme and can you just strap this on and move that and do that? And eventually what they really want is a custom website. So we did that for a while. And then from there, a couple years ago, we moved into the Genesis framework, and love it. Absolutely love it. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm with you guys right now. I'm not a developer, although I can do a little bit of CSS, thanks to my developer teaching me that. And I'm not a web designer, although I'm a self-taught Photoshop whiz kid from back in the days when I was doing my own websites. But I get that this is an amazing platform. I totally love this community, and I want you guys to stand out for what you are. You know a lot more already than somebody that's trying to flog a Theme Forest theme, or somebody that's on Elance that says, yes, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, I'll hook that up for you. You know a lot more than that. I'm going to make sure that by the end of this session, you're out there and you're getting your name into the marketplace. All right, so I'm just going to check you guys out. Yay, Genesis, Dreamweaver, yeah, nice. All right, I'm going to read your comments sometimes. Now, first up, here's the thing. We don't want to be copycats and Me Too businesses. That's definitely what we do not want to be. Back in the days when I worked for Tony Robbins, I can't tell you how many hundreds of people would come through his events and say, I want to be a speaker. And then they would go through speaker training, and then they would stand up on stage, and they would just try and be, guess what? Yes, another Tony Robbins. That wasn't just with him, though. That was with lots of other speakers that I worked with. And what ultimately happens is that you become a lesser version of yourself and a lesser version of the person that you're trying to be like, because you're different. And when you're different, that's actually what people buy. And you know what? It took me a long time to get that. I was a really, really shy kid, and I was like one of those girls in school where the teacher called on me, and I was so shy that I ran out into the girls' bathroom and I started sobbing because she called my name in class. But I realized that I'm quirky and I have my own personality, and I love to teach, and I'm kind of dorky, but at the same time I like to tell stories, and I just realized, you know what, that's who I am. I'm not going to try to be anything else than me. And when I started being just me, I'm getting speaking gigs, I'm getting strategic alliances, which I'll talk to you guys about how to do that in your business as well in a moment, and cool business opportunities as a result. So what you want to do is you look at your strengths. Are you a developer that also likes to teach business owners or website owners how to then, control and manage and do little updates on their website? Are you a designer that likes to get, your client on board from a certain way? Are you targeting just women? Are you really good at feminine designs? We've heard about this as well. This is called the niche or the niche. If you're in America, it's a niche. What is the thing that makes you different? And then stick with that. Get really, really good at that. Because when you do, that's when people remember you and they're endeared to you. And we all do business with people we like and trust. And if you're trying to be someone else, how are they possibly going to get to know you or like you in the first place? So, copycats and Me Too businesses, stay clear of that. Here's another good example of why this is working right now. So you all know about the mommy blogger trend, right? So it's really huge right now. When it first started, it started and got so big and grew so fast for a reason, because there's so many women that were trying to transition into, you know, having babies and working from home. And to have these mommy blogger designers and developers come to the scene, that's exactly what they wanted to be as a blogger. And then we had these developers and designers rising to the occasion, just promoting their services to those people. And they were also primarily mothers that worked at home as well. So be thinking about where you sit and where you want to go, and then ultimately you'll be starting to attract those clients to you. All right, let's get on to the next one. Jargon. This is one of my favorites. If your 12-year-old that's meant to say 12-year-old, does not get it, don't use it. And I'll read this meme. I don't always speak in business jargon, but when I do, the core competencies and synergies align for the best practice solutions. Oh yes, jargon. Now I'll tell you what, I do understand a fair bit of jargon, because I have to. I own an agency. I've been working with, you know, teams, developers, designers, and I've learned a lot about CRM systems. That's kind of my thing, is automation and CRMs. And I never use those words when I'm meeting with the client, ever. And you know what? I rarely use them when I'm meeting with my peers. And the reason why is I find that people hide behind jargon. They rarely actually can back it with real stories and results and actual knowledge. And jargon can be dangerous because it's actually not allowing you to truly say what you can do. So when you are growing your business and you're looking at your brand and you're looking at getting your clients on board, your clients are going to appreciate you when you can speak their language. So for example, I don't like my website. And then you would say, okay, so what do you not like about it? Well, I just don't like the design, and I'm not getting clients in. I don't really understand, why I'm not getting clients to see it. There's not a lot of traffic happening, and I've heard about this blogging thing. Then you would naturally then say, okay, so, what do you like to do? Do you like to write, or how are you currently getting your leads on board? You're just going to speak in their language. You're literally just going to speak in their language, and you're not going to start to launch into a spiel like, well, you're on the wrong framework, and I can see you got a theme for us, and that's your big problem, is because it has all these whiz-bang moving bits flying in from the center, and it's parallax, and it's like this and that. That's your problem, is client usability, this, that, and that, right? So what you're doing is you just want to speak in their language and get to the ultimate problem of what they're facing, and then you're going to speak that same language to fix that problem and come up with a solution. So here's something I learned. When I was at a marketing conference a few years ago, I like to test a lot of things. So I studied, how to get a bestseller on Kindle at the time. And they taught us that to get a best-selling book on Amazon, you need to write at a 4th grade level. That's truly with everything in life. If you really want people to understand what you offer and how you can help them, you have to dumb down your language. If a 12-year-old cannot understand it, then your client will surely be confused. Remember, they want to feel connected to you and build trust with you. And if they can't understand you, and I know you've been there, I've been there too, if you start to go a little too jargon heavy, then suddenly the client just nods their head and then the little shields go over their eyes. And there's a big problem with that, because if you're doing that, then you're mismanaging their expectations. So what's going to happen at the end of the conversation is they've nodded their head a lot because they didn't want to look stupid in front of you. You're using jargon, they think, oh yeah, I should understand this, I'm going to nod my head. And then ultimately when you're presenting your package or your service, they're not going to get it. They're going to sit there and think, right, well, I'm just going to say yes. And then when the delivery starts to happen, the scope creep starts to happen. They start to say, well, didn't you say that I was going to get this? And ultimately they just don't know what you said they're going to get because you never communicated it in such a way that they can understand. I am looking at your comments now, guys. I want to check in and just make sure all is well. I'm allergic to jargon. I love it, guys. Oh, I can't say synergy. You know, if you want to have a good laugh, go on to Google after this session or sometime later on. Type in wank word bingo. Wank word bingo. There's a document in, I think it's in Google Images that comes up, and it has all those words like synergy, next generation, and it's hilarious. So I challenge you to never ever use one of those words again on that wank word bingo sheet whenever you're meeting with a client. Yeah, it's cool. And yes, you will have a little bit of delays. That's all good. All right, cool. I am going to jump back in, make sure I'm on the right track here. All right. Next up, expectations. Are you on the same page? Now, we just touched on this briefly in the last point about if you're using jargon, your client can't possibly actually understand the expectations that you're presenting because they can't understand you. So how do you actually get on the same page with them? See, here's the thing. Think of it like this. Clients want to respect you. Clients need to feel ownership of the product or service that you're giving them. They don't want to feel like they're being held captive. I was speaking at a conference the other day with lots of small business owners here in Australia. There's about 150 of them in the room. And I asked them, by show of hands, I want to know what web platforms you guys are using. And I said, all right, who here is on Business Catalyst? Who here is on Wix? Who here is on Joomla? And we went around the room, and lots of people raising their hands for all the platforms. Naturally, I said WordPress last and got very excited when most of the room said, yes, I'm on WordPress. But here's the thing. I said to everyone in the room, I said, who here is not happy with the platform that they're on? And about a third of the room raised their hand. And then I said, who here, who is currently raising their hands, of you is not happy with the person that you're working with on that platform? Now, about half of them, they stayed there. They kept their hands up. And ultimately what we found out is that people didn't necessarily not like the platform. They felt like they were being held captive by the web developer, the web designer, or the web specialist that they were working with. And the number one reason why was because they didn't trust them. And they felt like their expectations of what the actual service that this person promoted was never met. They felt trapped and betrayed, and therefore they not only didn't like the person, but they didn't like the platform. So managing expectations. So how do you actually manage somebody's expectations? Look, when I meet with somebody in a meeting, basically I say to them, what do you want your business to be online? What ultimately do you want from us working together? And I always start my initial session with them, whether that's on the phone or in person. What do you want this to look like? And then I work backwards. I always reverse engineer when I'm working with a client because I need to, first of all, understand what they want to get. And I know Chris Lima said this earlier on his presentation. He was talking about how are you different, and working backwards from ultimately the benefit or the end game of where the person wants to be. I always do the same to manage expectations. You're looking for where they want to be. And if you really, in your heart of hearts, cannot deliver that, and you have to be really honest with yourself, there is no reason to carry on that conversation. I'm going to give you an example. So you guys, I still struggle with this stuff. I'm still dealing with clients. Even though we're sort of moving away a little bit from websites and more into sort of automation, I still do websites. And I was talking to a girl. I'm going back and forth with her right now, and it's a real struggle because really what she said to me at the start was, look, she has WooCommerce, she has a theme forest theme, and she just wants something that works better for her and has a nicer design and is mobile responsive and all the things we all know that a website needs. I said to her, well, what ultimately do you want? And she said, I want a site that works better. I want a site that's faster, and I want a new sort of facelift where I can put my new branding document in it, my new images and my new fonts and my new colors. I said, great. All right, so I presented her with a few Genesis themes, and she came back and she was like, yeah, these are nice. I like these. And then she chose one. Next week passes. She comes to me with 3 theme forest themes. And she says, oh, I kind of like this one, and I kind of want to add in that bit, and then I want to add in that bit, and then I like this bit from over there. But I also like what you showed me. And so it went from a very simple initial conversation because I really didn't get into the meat of what she wanted. Do you know what, guys, what she really wanted? She wants a high luxury brand look. She really doesn't want a fast website. She wants a high luxury brand look, and for me, that's not what I build. I build sites for conversion. So right now, I was just talking to my developer yesterday, and I don't think I can take her on, because I know that in my heart of hearts, I'm not going to be able to deliver something that sits well with me that she also wants. So there you go. So that's how you manage expectations, and you have to really think, can I deliver? And you have to know what they want as well. If you're not asking good enough questions, you're not going to get good enough answers. All right. Cool. I love this one. So I told you earlier that I worked with Tony Robbins, and yeah, it's a pretty cool boss to have. You know, I learned a lot from him. I didn't even know who he was, by the way, guys. I was graduating from San Diego State University. I was running my art, fashion, and music events on the side. I was learning Dreamweaver, and I was graduating, and I saw this ad in the paper way back before we had Monster and Seek and LinkedIn, and I saw this ad and it said Robbins Research International, and I thought, cool, it's a think tank, and I just graduated with an international business degree, so that's going to be perfect for me. So I go in and I sit down and I have my interview, and they're like, oh yeah, we're going to put you in customer service. I thought, really? And then they realized my talents. I knew a bit of web design, and they said, no, actually, we're going to put you in IT. My very first day, I was sitting there, and I remember they said, oh, we're going to let you meet your boss. And I said, oh, okay, cool. I'm interested in meeting this Tony Robbins guy. And they said, oh, well, he's busy, he's traveling, so we're going to put on a video so you can meet him. We play it for all of our new employees. And so I sat there, and I was watching this guy, and I thought, oh, boy, what have I gotten myself into? And I realized that 95% of the company were all fans of his, raving fans. And I'm this kind of lowbrow, artsy girl, you know, doing my art events on the side, and I'm going, wow, this is definitely drinking the Kool-Aid. But I'm up for challenges, and I thought, oh, I'm going to give it a go. But there's one big thing that kept me there. Tony Robbins is a brilliant edutainer. And stay with me, guys, and it's kind of a nerdy name, nerdy word, but it really does work. And let me explain to you what I mean by edutainment. Because if you can get this right in your business and how you start to promote yourself as a brand, people will remember you to the ends of the earth. If you just educate without entertainment, they will forget about you. So here's how edutainment works. One day, I think I was at, it's called UPW, what's called Unleash the Power Within. It's his weekend event, his feeder event into the rest of his courses. They put all their new employees through it. So I went through that event, and I was sitting there, and I was watching him on stage, and he came out, and he goes, right, we're going to learn about visual VAK learning styles. And I'm thinking, okay, VAK, cool, which means visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. I will never forget what those things are or what VAK is forever. The reason why is how he taught it. He turns on Oh What a Feeling from the Flashdance music, and he has these props. The song is like very amazing, basically, with VAK learning styles. So the lyrics in that song are visual lyrics, they're auditory, they're kinesthetic, like touchy feeling, oh what a feeling. And he had these, like, he had, I think, a heart which represented kinesthetic. He had glasses which represented, like big clown glasses, which represented visual. And he had a big fake ear that represented auditory. And I was watching him, and I was thinking, all right, this is going to get interesting. So every time in this song, different types of lyrics would show up, then he would pop that prop up so you would know those are auditory words, or those are kinesthetic words, or those are visual words. And it was such a fun, great experience because he had the music pumping, he had different props, and by the end of that session, like I said, I'll never forget what those items mean ever again, because the guy is truly brilliant edutainer. Now, not all of us are natural-born speakers, but pretty much all of us nowadays can be on content. We can get on podcasts. You know, I know I have my own podcast where my business partner Andrew and I, we just banter. We have a chat. we chat, we also tell stories, but we also teach because that's part of edutainment. Troy Dean earlier, you know, he has his podcast. He was talking about who's on there, Seth Godin, right? So he's on there and he's having a chat with Seth and making it funny. And there's lots of amazing pieces of content out there now that even if you don't want to start your own podcast, you can be on other people's podcasts. You can be interviewed. You can group together with other people in your community and you know, create mastermind groups or mentoring groups. You're in a community right now. So in your communities, how can you stand out by storytelling, by education, by being just that little bit different? And I'll give you another example of that. So part of what I've been doing lately is speaking quite a bit, and it's just kind of naturally fallen into my lap. I, to be honest, never said, oh, I want to be a speaker one day, but it's just happening. I think it happens to all of us once we have a good 5 years of experience in anything under our belt. We kind of go to the next level where we start to teach. And so I was teaching this group of business owners, and I was there, and I'm thinking, right, so the next bit of content I was going to give them was going to be about funnels, so lead generation and follow-up and automation around that. And obviously that's very heady. That can get very, very detailed and very full-on, especially when you start to go into split testing and, you know, things like that. So here's how I handled it. I went to get some Chupa Chups, which are basically lollipops for those of you in the States. Chupa Chups, they're like these cute little lollipops. I bought a huge, big, massive bag of them, and I had it hidden. And right when I started to go into that part of the talk where it was going to get pretty full on, I said to everybody, can I ask you please to stand? I would like you to stand on your feet right now. They all stood up. I said, cool. I said, because guess what? You're about to feel like a kid in a candy shop. And I said, and to illustrate that, I'm going to pass some Chupa Chups out to you right now. So he passed around the lollipops to every single person, and we had some music going at that moment. So they went into that session with a complete different mindset than sitting there thinking, I'm so overwhelmed and just carrying on and on and on. But they actually were thinking, wow, this is cool. It's triggering, you know, themselves being a kid and memories of curiosity. And at that point, they were much more open-minded to what I was about to say. You can use this with clients all the time. You can tell stories. You can tell case studies. You can tell, you know, befores and afters. So the other day I was meeting with a guy who he kind of has like an IT on tap company. He goes in and, you know, does the networking for small businesses with their internet and improves internet speed. And, you know, new employee comes in and they hook up the machine and put the software on and all that. And I said to him, you know, when you are there speaking to your clients, do you actually like just launch into jargon? And he goes, kind of. And I said, right. And so what other things do you say when you're sitting with them? And he's like, oh, you know, we talk about the diagnostic tests that we can do and this and that. And I said, right. I said, the next time you're in with a client, go in with this. You're a business owner, right? And obviously the guy's going to say, yeah, I'm a business owner. Then you can say, does your team, do they ever complain to you and make excuses that they can't do work because the internet's not working or they don't have the right software, or they don't, you know, they're not hooked up properly with all the tools that they need? Do they ever just use that as an excuse? And then the business owner will naturally say, why, yes, they always use that as an excuse. And then you can say to them, cool, so how good would it be if I just fixed it for you? And you don't even need to go into diagnostics or all that jargon, because that guy's not going to know. He's not actually going to feel any benefit from that. What he will feel benefit from is you removing his employees' excuses. So guess what? He did it. He did it last week, and he emailed me. He's like, so I met with a client, Heather, and I did what you told me, and they were like over the moon, and I didn't even have to go into what I was actually selling in the first place because he already signed up. He didn't even need to wait for the pitch because he solved the problem. He listened and solved the problem. When I meet with clients, by the way, on the phone, I have a sticky note right here. I'm looking at it on my computer. It's a big orange sticky note, and it says, listen. Every time I get on the phone with a client, I look at it and I think, all right, listen, listen, listen. Listen more, talk less, because if you can get somebody to tell you their problems, you're halfway there. You only have to cater the answer to what they need help with, and you're already building trust. They will trust you. If they're already telling you their problems, they're going to trust you. So Edutainment. Let's go into the next one. I'm going to have a quick look at comments because I love your comments coming through. Chumpa chumps. Thanks, you guys, for being so active. I love it. Very, very cool. Spanish? Chumpa chumps are Spanish? I'm shocked. Wow, there you go. See, we learn something new every day. All right. Here we go. Do your actions show trust? I don't know, do they? Are your actions showing trust? So back to the sticky note that I'm talking about, right? So listen is the #1 thing that you can do to build trust. Another thing you can do, especially in our space of online, remember I was talking to you about people holding you captive earlier? There's another big problem right now where web developers just disappear. And that happens for numerous reasons. We'll all know why, but one of the main things is that you can't stand the client anymore, and that comes down to mismanaged expectations. I know people that just literally stop answering calls because they can't stand the client. Also, it happens because of the commodity space that we're all in, and we're getting burnt out. So when things commoditize, that means that people are hunting via price. They're looking for cheap prices rather than quality in a lot of cases. So what's happening now is people are getting completely burnt out. There are web developers who were up there online with their websites 2 days ago, a year ago, and they're no longer around. And the reason why is because they're sitting there thinking, you know, I'm working so hard. I am trading my time for money, and my money's going down. Or for those of us with agencies, same thing is happening where we have our agency, you know, we're trying to grow, and in our mind we think growth equals more clients and more team. But over time, as we bring in more clients, we're struggling to manage the growth of our team. We can become stressed out, and as owners of our business, we're paying ourselves less and less over time. When you think of yourself as a commodity, that's the problem. So that's why people are disappearing as well. So there's a lot of clients out there saying, oh, my web developer I used to use is no longer around. Oftentimes, it's probably because they got so burnt out that they can't possibly sustain what they're doing anymore. So again, this is why it's so important to become your brand, your own brand, and you're no longer needing to focus on just being another me too, another copycat, but you actually stand out for your own, own talent base, truly who you are, your own filters. There's a thing that I always say to people: you always find your teacher when you're ready, and you always find your teacher based on their filters of the world are something that you need to understand. What I mean by that is that they've lived through certain things in their life, or they've lived in certain places, or they have, you know, a certain type of family or a certain amount of children where you relate to them. There's something that has happened in their life where they've had a certain set of learnings that you suddenly connect to and think, you've been through all that, so I trust you. So with that, that's important for you guys to know. Don't ever underestimate your own struggles and where you've come from, because people will connect to that. So if you were, say, I don't know, a personal trainer, and you got burnt out of being a personal trainer, and then you went into web design. The reason why you went into web design is because you actually want to support everybody in the fitness space, where you can truly, you know what the clients want, but you also want to support them from that perspective and also give them business growth. So it's not just about being a website owner anymore or doing their website, you're actually helping them grow their business. So be thinking about how you're different. All right, next up, we're going to head on into trends. Yes. This actually is a really, really important one. And the reason why is because I think this is the main one of how you guys are going to stand out. We have, by the way, 3 more points to get through. I've left the 3 big ones for the end because these are going to be really what you want to take away. So trends. Isn't that hot, by the way? Isn't that such a good photo? So nice. All right. Anyway, let's go in. Many business owners buy hype, unfortunately. They say the best marketer wins, right? So people buy hype, trends, things like that. So they see things happening on Facebook ads, they see things on Tumblr, they see Periscope videos, which I'm newly introduced to and can dangerously be hooked on, by the way. So we have all these trends that are constantly out there, and business owners are entrepreneurial in their mindset. So they oftentimes get very scattered, and they can be running around going, I want to try that, I want to try that, I want to try that. Right now, the biggest trend that exists in my space from what I'm seeing, which is why I'm doing more of this in my business, are funnels. Funnels. So basically, it's setting up the lead page or the landing page. It's getting leads in the door. It's automating the follow-up, pre-qualifying, nurturing them through different sequences, and then ultimately sending them through a sales page and then selling to them, whatever that product looks like. There's also a new trend with that as well called tripwires. This is coined by a digital marketer in the States, Ryan Deiss's company, Frank Kern and other marketers kind of using similar things, but it's very hot right now. Any business owner who kind of knows a little bit, enough knowledge to be dangerous online, they want it. They want the tripwires and they want the funnels, and this is what they're going after. Here's also what's cool for that with you guys, is that if you can educate yourself enough on that to speak the language of funnels, then you can go in and say, look, I only design, if you're a designer, I only design websites. Yeah, I stole your web wardrobe. Nice. Sorry to interrupt. That was hilarious. I only design websites to take into account conversion. So my designs are going to be beautiful and they're going to definitely look like what you want. However, I add in a few other components in my designs. I add in opt-in boxes in all the right places, to build your funnels. I add in banner ads to promote your tripwires. All these things that you need to have a site that builds your business come with my designs. If you're a developer, you could say, here's what I do. I develop your site not only to be fast and work on different size screens and be mobile responsive, but what I really do is I do all these extra conversion coding features. So I bring in exit pop-ups because that's how you attract leads. I code in opt-in boxes on the base of every single one of your blog posts because that's where you get your leads. I make sure that you have dynamic content so you can choose as the website owner that you want to display a banner ad on this particular blog category, but maybe not this one over here. So I code your site to build yourself funnels and tripwires and all these things that you're going to need. So by looking at the trends of what business owners and website owners want and positioning yourself in that way, you'll definitely get more business because you're now no longer a commodity. You're pre-educated in the exact thing that they want right now in their business. Funnels, right now, huge, right? So we have, gosh, every person that I know, every marketer that I know is right into that. There's another thing, of course, content marketing and inbound marketing. So if you can learn about inbound marketing and content marketing, podcasts, for example, and things like that, then you can pitch or present your business or your services in that way where you specialize in building websites that are for content, where blogs that get traffic and podcasts that spread out there to the world and things like that. So again, it comes right down to knowing what the business owner wants, understanding their expectations, but also tapping into the trends that exist and positioning yourself in that way. There's lots of opportunity in that right now. All right, moving on. Let's go to the next one. All right. Don't underestimate matchmaking. I have never used Tinder. I'm sure maybe some of you guys have. It's all the rage. Again, another trend that's out there. But really what it does is it pre-qualifies people before they meet. So in your case, you want to pre-qualify your clients. The easiest way to do that is by your copywriting. And that's not just on your website, but that's also in your emails. And that's also perhaps in your phone scripts as well, if you're talking to somebody on the phone. Asking the right questions and saying the right information. So I'm doing a round of events coming up in Australia and also in San Diego. And on my event page, I basically say, so you're a business owner and you have a website and you sell a product and you're struggling because you can't kind of go to the next level of growth. I'm already saying you have to be a business owner, you have to have a website, and you have to have a product. If I were just say, come and attend the event and then you're going to get all these amazing tips and tools to grow your business, that could be a startup, right? That could be any sort of business owner. So what type of client do you want to work with? Really be thinking about that. The information that you use in all of your communications should pre-qualify that client. Do you want, are you in the mommy blogger space? Do you want a mommy blogger that wants to start a blog? Or do you want a mommy blogger that's now ready for an e-commerce shop? Or do you want a mommy blogger that's now ready for a membership website for continuity? These are very different markets, and then you can position yourself to answer those questions or speak in that language. Are you looking for corporate? Are you looking for, perhaps a company or universities that's trying to get off of their old web platform because they feel locked in and they want to go into something that they can have ongoing maintenance and support with? Then that's a very different way of speaking to them as well. So you're stuck with your old website. You feel absolutely trapped. You have a strict budget. You don't even know what you want. Think about the words that your ideal client would use, and then you write your copywriting and you ask questions based on that. So another key little pointer that I've learned from some of my sales mentors as well, this is a great one. When you're meeting with the client and you realize that you like them, you've set the expectations, you've pre-qualified them, you think there's a really good working relationship there, and you really want them as a client, ask them this question: where would you like to go from here? Because now the ball is in their court, you're not being pushy, and you're literally trying to build trust with them. You genuinely want to know, where would they like to go from here? You will find out. They're either going to say, oh, you know what, I'm ready, or I still don't understand this, so can you send me this information? Or I need to talk to my business partner. And then you could say, of course, great, would you like to set up a call where I can also talk to your business partner with you to answer any questions? So that's just another little pointer that I picked up that works really well. Where would you like to go from here is not, hey, let's get started, or can I send you the invoice? It's making sure that they're on the same page with you. Because after all, standing out in this space is all about you and your trust. And because another part of that is that they're going to want to refer business to you if they really like you. All right. Yes, so here's some questions that I actually ask clients when I'm meeting with them. I like to ask these face-to-face, but I've also done this on the phone. And they're amazing. Like, take a screen grab of these, and you don't have to use all of them. But here's what they allow you to find out. So you're finding out, first of all, how many customers do they have. If you don't want to work with a startup, and if they say none, then you don't need to take it any further from there. How many leads do they have? Again, this goes into your knowledge of funnels, right, or wherever you're positioning yourself. If they don't have any leads, and Chris was talking about this earlier with MailChimp as well, you can solve the problem based on how many leads they have. They'll answer that in a lot of different ways. Like, for example, I have 30 leads, but I haven't communicated with them ever. I have no leads because I didn't even know I could get leads from my website, right? So you're asking these questions. And then going all the way down through to their marketing spend, where they're actually spending their money, open rates for emails. You're basically getting an understanding of how much knowledge they have by asking real great questions with layman's terms. These are not jargon-heavy questions at all. These are just straight up, how do you run your business? Where do your customers come from? And, where do you need the most help? So go ahead and grab a screenshot of that. And if it's coming up, screenshot of what? Are we on some sort of delay? I just want to make sure that you guys are seeing me okay. Here we go. So it's a big list of questions. It starts with, how many customers do you have? So basically, yeah, there you go. Cool. Just pop that into Slack. So I use those questions to attract clients and just pre-qualify and work out if we're a good match. So you grab a screenshot of those and we'll move on. All right, so the next one, strategic alliances. This is one of the most powerful things that you can do to grow your business really, really fast and also get the perfect type of client into your business as well. And I don't want to annoy you too much with the slide that you're seeing, this little GIF, so I'm going to just move on to some Justin Bieber fans for you. All right. So strategic alliances. So, earlier today, Troy Dean mentioned ongoing revenue and how amazing that can be for a lot of us in our business. And it really is. And it is a trend, and a lot of people are doing it right now. What's great about that is it means that you don't necessarily have to start your own membership site if you don't want to, or your own continuity program. You can actually tack on to other people's programs that already exist. So, for example, there's a woman that's very well known in the online space with women, and her name is Marie Forleo, and she has a program called B School. Now, that's grown to be quite a community. and she actually has resource guides in there of recommended developers, recommended designers, and recommended people in the online space to build online businesses. Amazing, right? So there's not only her, that which probably would be quite difficult to get into now, but there's so many other people just like her teaching business owners online marketing, teaching business owners how to have a website, how to blog, how to develop, premium membership sites, how to get info products, all that. All of them need one thing, and that's your services. And oftentimes these business owners that develop these sites are too busy to reach out and find talent, aka you guys. So there's lots of people out there that potentially, if you can get to know them through social media and just through looking at Facebook ads, click and find out who own these sorts of programs online and then build relationships with them. And over time, you'll be surprised, or you won't be surprised, really. You'll get invited in as a potential resource where business can be referred out from these people. There's a company here in Australia that I just kind of stumbled upon. It was really lovely for me, actually, and they teach, again, business owners how to grow their businesses and sort of systematize so they're not trading time for money. And they now refer business to me, and so I have this incredible sort of alliance partner on the side that's not in direct competition with me, but desperately needs their clients to have the services that I offer. So always, there'll be people coming in the door every week referred from them, and they're already pre-screened because they've already had a conversation about me and what I can do to help them. And also they have the third-party endorsement, which is incredibly powerful. When another person says, you need this, and they already have a working relationship, this other company has clients paying them, then they're that much more open to listen because they're already paying this other company for advice, so they're not that much more open to listen. So then that introduction is incredibly powerful because they're already pre-qualified, pre-screened, and almost ready to say yes. Some of them even come to me saying, I'm ready, sign me up, and they don't even know what I offer yet. So where can you reach out to build these types of alliances? Remember, they're not going to be direct competitors. They're going to be people that are in your space doing a similar sort of thing. And in most of our spaces, it's going to be businesses, right? So business owners. So anybody that has access to a database or a group of business owners that need websites or web work, that is where you're going to go and hang out. So try and get in the door with these guys. A lot of times they might be your current clients as well. So think about all the people that you've serviced in the past and those that are happy with your services, and go back to them and reach out and say, hey, by the way, I have a referral program that I've just opened. Would it be of any interest to you? You don't have to have online affiliate systems, but you can just go to them and say, do the sort of handshake where you do referral just via an email or something like that. So just be thinking about these alliances. We have our own online membership site, and a big part of what we do in there is refer business on. So when somebody says, I want somebody that does AdWords, for example. We don't do AdWords, so we have a company here in Australia that we refer business to. There's lots of us out there. There's loads of these sorts of communities, and if you can just find one or two of them, then your foot is already in the door to a point where your business will take off potentially, and you don't even need to think about getting business from anywhere else. So just be creative, think about everybody that you know, and build relationships. This is the most important thing. Build relationships. You don't want to be spammy, and you don't want to try and go after people you don't know. All right, so I'm going to pop on in here. So we're going to start to wrap up because I'm going to get you guys to ask me questions if you have any. And as we do this, I just want to leave you with something to think about. Think bigger than where you are right now. Think more and think beyond of you just being a developer, of you just being a designer, of you just being an agency owner. What else do you stand for? Remember, people buy into visions. They buy into stories. They buy into legacy. They want to know that they're going to be part of something bigger than themselves. There's this great little movie that I saw when I was on the airplane called Hector and the Search for Happiness. And it's with Simon Pegg, who's the actor in it. And it's a cute little movie, but I like this one scene. He's walking up the mountain in Tibet, and he's on this sort of quest for happiness because he's like a cubicle worker in London, and he's really burnt out, and he's just not happy. So he's up in Tibet, and he finds this monk, and he's sort of saying, I'm walking around the world, I'm trying to find people and ask them questions about truly what is happiness and how do I bring it into my life. And the monk says, well, what do you think it is? And he says, I don't know, being bigger than yourself? And he said, yep, but think even bigger. And that's why he constantly said throughout that little session, think bigger, think more, think beyond the website, much way further beyond the website. If you can help somebody's business grow, if you can help somebody have more time, more money, more happiness with their employees, then they're never going to forget you. You're not just going to be their little web team on the side. You're going to be a partner in their business, and that is an incredibly powerful way of positioning yourself. And I'm going to leave you with one little story to think bigger, to get you guys thinking bigger about your pricing as well. You may have heard of something called value-based pricing. I was just rudely awakened the other day from a client of mine around value-based pricing. So he is changing from MailChimp to a system called Ontraport, which I know very well. And what he asked me to do is he wanted me to sort of map out the data and look at rules and segments and how I can take his current MailChimp database and make it into something automated and amazing. So I said to him, great. So I put this spreadsheet together and I outlined all the different things that would need to happen. And I stupidly put my hours for each of those items. How many hours would it take to do that? And then I tabulated all the hours at the end, and I gave him the spreadsheet and I said, here's what it will take. And I can't believe I did that. I just kind of thought, oh, maybe that's perhaps what he wants to see. And he came back to me, he says, I have a piece of advice for you. I said, yeah, go ahead. And he said to me, here's the thing. If you were to have just said, this is how much it's going to cost and I'll do everything you need, I would have said, sign me up. And he said, do you remember how I emailed you back, Heather, when you sent it to me? And I said, I think we need to jump on a phone call about this. He said, I was doing that because I had doubts. I looked at all the different hours that you were going to have to put into it, and I started thinking, is this really going to be worth it? This is a lot of money. There's a lot happening here. Value-based pricing. If I were just to say to him, look, you're in pain, you're here, you need to be over here, I'm going to do it for this rate, and I will take care of everything for you, and it'll be done in 2 weeks, he would have signed up on the dotted line straight away. So be thinking about how you can lift yourself up as a brand. Be thinking about strategic alliances that you can build with other people. There's lots of people in this community, I'm sure. And as we go off for a close, I am going to put something inside of our little chat. I really think you guys will love it. It's a hilarious video. I'm just going to pop it in there so it should come up in our chat. Okay, so it's a hilarious video about actual client interactions, and some of you may have already seen it before, and it's highly recommend watching it. It's about a hairdresser and a waiter and a video store owner, and it's about rude clients that probably most of us have, you know, in our businesses, perhaps every single day. You'll get a good laugh from it. All right, you guys, so that's me. My two websites, autopilotyourbusiness.com. That's my agency that I run with Andrew McCauley in the States, and we're now more specializing on building funnels, but we still do love our Genesis websites. And heatherporter.com is my sort of semi-neglected blog because I just don't have time. No excuse, I know. Twitter and Facebook, that's where you can find me. I am going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen, and we can answer and ask some questions. So we'll go ahead and jump in with that. All right, I think I'm back on. Cool. So there you go. I think you're on mute still, Trish.
Yep.
There you
Yeah,
go.
I am. It's 2 clicks to get back to unmuted.
Guys, thanks for tuning in. Do you guys have any questions for me, or were any questions coming up? I was trying to keep track of everybody while I was talking.
Yes, we have 3 questions in the Q&A section.
Perfect. What are they?
The first one is, do you think writing at a 4th grade level should apply for blog writing as well?
Ooh, that's such a good question. And you know what? If you want to, two reactions to that. Number one, if you're going for the masses and you're trying to get more traffic and hit a more mainstream market, then yes, and the reason why is we know that the formula of best-selling books, if you go to all the best-selling books, you'll find that the majority of them are written at a lower level. All the top viewed shows, same thing. They don't use heavy jargon. If you are a tech writer, if you're very specifically going for a very small percentage of the market, then you can change your strategy. So it's going to depend on who you're trying to reach. But the majority of us, yes, will be wanting to target people by writing at a lower level.
Good, good. All right. Now, another one is, can you recommend resources or books or anything that can help us expand on the content of your presentation? Obviously, to help with our strategic objectives that lead to a win-win situation. CJ asked that.
Thank you. Very good question. Books. You know what? I think the easiest thing for that is I have a little book list that I have read, and they're combined with copywriting, because I've talked to you about copywriting for pre-qualifying. That's a really important part of what you want to do. It's the questions that I have in there as well, and there's a couple of other sort of mindset books in the space of how do you actually work with clients. How can I get that to everybody? Should I just paste that in here after the fact?
Yes, please.
Okay, guys, I'll paste in the titles of the books that I recommend that you can kind of understand a better working relationship with clients, books and resources online as well.
Awesome. Okay, final one, and this is a biggie. Carissa wants to know, how do you judge what marketing tactics that border on the ethical gray area? I personally don't like the high-pressure scarcity mindset that is so prevalent in this industry. So how do you keep it ethical?
Yeah, totally agree with you on that. I was just having that exact conversation with somebody the other day. There's scarcity that's real and there's scarcity that's not real. So scarcity that's real would be if you have a webinar coming up, if you have an event coming up, you obviously can do early bird pricing, and then you have normal pricing, and then guess what? The event happens. So it's natural scarcity.
Right.
You can have sales, right? Think about sales in retail or e-commerce. There are sales all around us, and they are real. I mean, in your business, you can have a sale. You can just say, this is my sale. It's going to go on for 2 weeks. The scarcity that's icky and ugly and the stuff that I don't like is the fake sort of countdown timers that you're putting in emails. I'm starting to see that happening. I know Infusionsoft works with these sorts of tools, and suddenly you're on somebody's website with you know, you're cookied in, and you'll see the timer for yourself, but if you strip out half the URL, you'll see that there's actually no timer there. I do not like that stuff, right, guys? So do what has been done, you know, since history with online marketing, I should say e-commerce, really, you know, retail marketing, which is sales, which is events, and which is actual deadline-driven things. Then you can do scarcity around that because it's real scarcity.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Heather.
You're welcome. All right, are we done?
Yes, it's been great. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. In a minute or two, we'll head over to Elaine's session. So stay with us.
Trisha, I just wanted to say thank you so much to you and to Peter and all the organizers, because this is a massive undertaking that I know that a lot of us know, but some of us don't know. So just a huge thank you to you guys as well.
It's my pleasure. Thank you very much.
All right, you guys, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you online.
Bye, guys.
Bye.